the logic of the unconscious, logic of the deranged mind. The madman also has a logic. We have a logic, we call it conscious logic. They have got an unconscious logic. Logic of the unconscious, there is a whole book written, Logic of the Unconscious. To them it is all logical. One example I read, a man in the mental hospital has a habit of snapping his fingers all the time. Every time snapping the finger, going on, this way, that way. That is a normal practice. So doctor went, asked him, what's the matter? Why are you snapping your fingers? Doctor, don't you know? 100 elephants are coming to attack me. He said, I want to keep them off. Doctor said, no elephant anywhere nearby at all. Why do you say elephants are attacking you? Don't you know? It is the snapping that has kept them away. You do not know the truth. He is very satisfied with his logic. Doctor is not satisfied. He knows something is wrong with this man. He must restore him to his health. So the language here is, Pramaniki na bhavati, Prantya arobita kalpana, Prantya mohita kalpana. Whatever is deluded imagination cannot be proved to be true. When you prick it, it bubble bursts. The truth comes out. And he gives examples. Prantim vina tvasangasya nishkriyasya niragritehe na ghatet artha sambandho napaso nilatadivat. Without this delusion, how can that ever pure, infinite, ever free reality appear as limited? Feel that it is limited. It is creaturely. That Bhranti comes in between. Bhranti means wrong knowledge, delusion. All that is Bhranti. And he gives the example. Look at the sky. You see it is blue, but the sky has no color. Your mind has blue. You put it there and say sky is blue. Nabaso nilata divat. You attribute blueness to the sky, which is only in your deluded mind. When you examine, there is no blueness at all. This kind of truth is what we have to understand regarding oneself. Swasya drashtur nirgunasya akriyasya pratyak bodhanandarupa swarup buddhehe prantya prapto giva bhavo na satyo mohapaye nasti avastu svabhavat. Swasya drashtuhu. Here the seer, the one who knows, one who sees the subject, the self, which is niskriyasya, without any action, just the witness, just watching, just seeing everything. That is the truth about our true self. Pratyak bodhananda rupasya buddhehe bhrantya. This self is pratyak bodhananda rupa, the Vedantic language of the nature of bliss, of the nature of pure consciousness, of the nature of pure being or existence. That is our true nature, which is pratyak, innermost, not out there. Out is an object, changeable, perishable. Here inside, when you use the word I, at the depth of it, you find this profound truth. The word pratyak is a very important word in Vedanta. Whenever the finger points out to an object, we call it parak. The whole of external world is parak vastu. As soon as you speak of I, the finger turns inward. Some reality within the system, which is the I, which is the consciousness, just a subject, the self, that's called pratyak. That pratyak bodha, consciousness of something within, as the I, which is ananda swarupa, both consciousness and bliss. That is the nature of the Atman. That is our true nature. Now this true nature, buddhe bhrantya, by the delusion of buddhi, the instrument of mind, mind gets deluded and thinks, oh, I am limited. I am subject to birth, death, change. I am high, I am low. All these things come from buddhi only, not from the Atman. Jiva bhavo na satyo. This creatureliness, that we are limited, we are imperfect, this notion has come to us. It is a fact. A fact, but if you investigate a fact, it ceases to be fact. You know the truth. I am truly that. This knowledge will come. Mohapaye. When the delusion is removed, this creatureliness also goes away. If it is truth, it can never be otherwise. Truth is something that can never be otherwise. In fact, one of the definitions of truth given in Vedanta is whatever remains the same yesterday, today and tomorrow, that is truth. Whatever changes every time, that is not truth. That is the idea. Ado ante cha nasti vartamanepi jat tatha vidathais tadrsha santo avidatha iva rakshitaha. About what is untrue and what is unreal, Mandukya Karika of Gaudapada gives this definition. That which does not exist at the beginning and at the end, only exists in the middle period, the present. Neither past nor future, existing only in the present. That is called the unreal. Just for the moment it is there, every time going away, going away. That is called Vitatais Sadrsha Santo. It is really unreal, but we take them to be real. That is our misfortune. What is constantly in flux, we take that as real. That is not. That's why in physics today, you will be reading from Einstein's remark. These particles coming from the field, quantum field energy, every second, millions of particles. That's what the universe is. But these particles are only temporary manifestations of the field, for the field alone is reality. These come and go. That language he has used there. In Vedanta, we saw the many, we questioned what is this many, and discovered the one behind the many. That one is of the nature of pure consciousness, one, without a second. In you and me, our buddhi, this instrument, imagines that we are all limited by body-mind complex. Then we become creature. I am a jiva. So jiva bhava comes to us by this limitation placed by buddhi. This buddhi can be corrected. That correcting is what we do in spiritual life. After all, it is the mind of the person that makes him behave one way or the other. With that mind, when it becomes abnormal, you see the various people in the mental asylum. It is slightly normal, you find it normal human beings here. Mind has slightly changed. A little vibration change only. Everything changes. So that has to be corrected. That's why the whole study is the study of removing the superimposition that is there. Truth is always there. You hide it and you find truth is not there. The sun is there, the cloud comes, oh, the sun is gone. Sun has not gone. The cloud is there. Remove the cloud, then you see the sun as it is. Therefore, Karyasyapi tatheshyate. Avidya, that primordial ignorance from which we all feel we are limited, we are finite, this is beginningless. And the effects of this, our day-to-day behavior, that is also beginningless. The cause and the effect, both are beginningless. That is true. But because it is beginningless, it should be endless. That doesn't follow. Things which are beginningless can also have an end. That is the logic that is given here. Yesterday it was not. Today it can be. Therefore, avidya, though beginningless, is not endless. You can remove avidya. A delusion has come upon me. That delusion, when I am in delusion, is endless, beginningless. But when you wake up from the delusion, you find it was only yesterday, it troubled me yesterday, today I am free. And the greatest example is dream. When you get into a dream, you see so many things. A tiger chasing you, you are frightened, your heart is beating. All this is happening in the dream. And you ask the question, when did this trouble begin? That is beginningless. To a dreamer, dream is beginningless. Remember that truth. But when you wake up, the whole tissue of dream vanishes. Though it is beginningless in the dream, to any dreamer, dream is real. Dream is beginningless. And yet, when you wake up, the whole thing is a tissue of your own delusion, made of things only. There's nothing true about it. Similarly, this creatureliness, though beginningless, is a challenge to us. We shall end it. Beginningless things can end. In logic, we often deal with the subject of something that is beginningless. Say, for example, non-existence. Abhava is the word for non-existence. Indian logic, modern logic, abhava, non-existence. Now, you can speak of a place where there is abhava of something. Suppose there is no pot on this lawn. You can say the lawn is characterized by the non-existence of a pot. Perfectly correct. Then you put a pot there. What has happened? That entire non-existence became immediately existence. No more non-existence there. Similarly, this delusion, beginningless, yes, when you experience it, it is beginningless. There's no doubt of that. As far back as you go. But when you wake up from that delusion, everything just a twinkling of an eye, the whole thing is gone away. That's the nature of delusion. Truth cannot go away. By any amount of investigation, truth cannot go away. But delusion can go. Wrong knowledge can go. But not truth. And the truth is, we are free. Vedanta will proclaim it from the housetops. Man is essentially free. Man is essentially pure. He is infinite. He is immortal. That is his true nature. But we don't know it. We consider ourselves as limited, as mere creatures. We weep, we suffer, we do harm to others. All this we are doing in that deluded state. Remove that delusion. Then everything comes to itself. That is the challenge Vedanta takes up. When you study this subject in the context of modern psychology, psychotherapy, psychoanalysis, you will find its wonderful relevance. So many delusions come to us, make us abnormal. And the treatment is these delusions. We have to treat the delusion. Remove the delusion. Man is restored again. One little child, 5 years old, Dips by name. He lost his identity. Son of a brilliant father and mother, scientist, neglected by the parents, the child developed mental delusion, hating father and mother, no interest in study, sitting in a dark room, never coming out. Now that child has to be treated. And a wonderful book, Dips in Search of Self, by Virginia Axeline, American lady. There you will find the method adopted to get rid of that delusion of the child and restore to him his knowledge of his own true self. Atma-jnana of this great Vedantic tradition brought to the level of a disturbed, emotionally disturbed child. And he was installed in his own real status as an intelligent, capable boy. The language he used here, he was restored back to his own identity. What was the method? That method is called play therapy in modern therapy. Simply play. No treatment, nothing is there. Not even questioning the child. Let him play. He works out his various psychic conflicts through the play he was doing. They were watching. The psychologists are watching with a glass cover behind and monitoring through tape record everything the child is talking. Then they discovered the child's trauma within, which made him lose faith in himself, was due to parental neglect. How did they discover it? In the midst of play, the child takes a doll, puts it in the mud there, and pushes it deep into the mud. You are my father, be there. He is telling to himself. Then he will take another doll. You are my mother, put him there. All automatically is coming. And they could discover something is wrong, parental relation with the child. Then he takes a little gun, pop gun, and then shoots at the father. You father, I shoot you. You mother, I shoot you. Finished. And all this play is going on. They are watching. Through this unburdening of those emotional traumas, the child was slowly recovering his own true nature. To play therapy, free association of ideas expressing in action, and they are watching only. And ultimately, the child slowly recovered and became himself. Dips in Search of Self is the title of the book by Virginia Axeline. I call it The Application of Vedanta to the Problems of an Emotionally Disturbed Child. Vedanta is infinite in application. In administration, management, everywhere. Vivekananda calls it practical Vedanta. the egoistic man sitting in the chair, ordering everybody about. He is deluded. He doesn't know that he is one with all. He did not have this arrogance at all. But he is deluded thereby. It's a type of madness. There he has to be corrected. In extreme form is what that child experienced, but he was restored back to normal health. What about the previous one? That was delusion. It's not true. The true dips was different. So he said, this buddhi prantya, through the mind's delusion, we assume this and that. When that is removed, everything is removed also. So, this anadi is true. To that child, his worry is anadi, his disturbed mind. But when you overcome it, you realize, oh, it was only a few days ago it came, or 1 year ago it came. It's all right now. Vedanta says the same thing regarding our sense of limitation, this creatureliness. Man need not be a creature like other species in nature. They are creatures because they don't have the organic capacity to overcome this creatureliness. Man alone has that organic capacity. Nature has given it to you. Exercise it. Then from creatureliness, you can rise to blessedness and freedom. That is the whole challenge of human education and human religion, says Vedanta. So he says, this anadi can be made with an end. Sadi, it can be ended by right knowledge. Or again, Vinivartir bhavet tasya, says verse 202. Vinivartir bhavet tasya, samyak jnanena nanyatha. This removal of delusion, of creatureliness, can come only through samyak jnana, true knowledge, correct knowledge. It's a very wonderful word in Sanskrit and Vedanta. Samyak jnana. Samyak means full, total, complete jnana. Not book knowledge, but real experience. Samyak jnanena na anyatha. There is no other way. No medicine can help you, no drug can help you. He has said it earlier. Drugs, medicines, running about here and there, none of this can help. This knowledge must come. Light must shine in the mind of man. Knowledge is light. Let us have light lighting up the heart of man. The prayer for light is a universal prayer. Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. Lead me from darkness to light. So Shankara says in 202, Vinivrittihi means cessation of this creatureliness will come to us samyak jnanena, through samyak jnana, total knowledge, complete knowledge. Na anyatha. There is no other way. There is no other way. In the case of that boy, that dips, samyak jnana, slowly by unburdening all these various traumatic experiences, he slowly realized his own true form. Then everything was clear. What happened to me? I forgot my true nature. As I so often say, whenever we commit a crime, for 1 second we are outside of ourselves. We don't know our true nature. Then we commit a crime. For that moment we are thoroughly abnormal. Later on we feel sorry, we do all this. But abnormality was there at that time. So to keep the mind normal all the time, that is what we want. Swastha, normal, remaining in your own free state, not under some delusion. Vedanta wants to confer this blessing on all humanity. Therefore, what is the nature of that samyak jnana? Brahmatmaikatva vijnanam, samyak jnanam sruter matam. In all the Shruti or the Upanishads, this samyak jnana is described as your oneness with the absolute reality. You think you are separate. You are not separate. You are one with it. You are one with all. Not only with Brahman, with all others as well. That perfect unity, which is the theme of all mysticism. Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, everywhere. Mystics speak of unity. That union, that is to be achieved. All this delusion will go away. One voice, every mystic will speak of this wonderful experience unless he is suppressed by a religious authority or a political authority. Give free expression to one spiritual quest, you must come to this mystical experience. Man like Eckhart, the great German mystic, 13th century, he also spoke of this wonderful experience of oneness at that high level. You will even say, as Jesus said in the New Testament, I and my Father are one. Now, if Jesus could say so, it is a truth. You and I may not like to go that far, but the truth is there. You and I are one. We are all one. That is a wonderful teaching. In all science, the search is from the many to the one. The senses reveal the many, but mind penetrates into things and discovers the one behind the many. The entire search of 20th century science through Einstein was to discover a unified field theory, a field which can explain not only electromagnetism, atomic phenomena, but also gravitation. All this can be explained by one single field. That was the search. He couldn't succeed in it, but the aim is that. Vedanta does it. In this particular case, discovering it in that supreme Brahman of the nature of pure, infinite consciousness. That is the truth. You and I are part and parcel of it. That is our true nature. Brahmatmaigutta Vijnanam, Samyak Jnanam Suter Matam. That is the glory of the Upanishads. 4,000 years ago, this Mount Everest of experience was achieved by them. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Taittiriya said, Brahman is truth, consciousness, infinity. That Brahman is our true nature. This is repeated again and again in that literature. How do you get this knowledge? Tad atmanapanoho samyak vivekenaiva siddhyati. By proper discrimination between Atman and Anatman. What is not self? What is self? Constant discrimination. Then you eliminate what is not self. And what remains is self. That's what he was doing. Eliminating the body, sensory system, psychic system, etc. Atman Atmano Viveka. Vichara. You have to do discrimination in daily life. Tato Viveka Kartavya. Therefore, we must do this discrimination process. Viveka. Everything is mixed up. Let me separate. Everything is mixed up in experience. That's why the challenge is the human intellect. How to discriminate this from that? And what is truly this? That's why VIVEKACHUDAMANI, the name of the book also. Pratyagatma Sadatmanoha. Here is one little self in me as I. And there is the real self. How to discriminate? This is the great purpose of Vedantic Jnana Marga. Pratyagatma Sadatmanoha. There is something which I say I, pointing the finger towards the center of my being. Whenever I point the finger out, it is something there, some object. That, we call it. That and this, as a language we use. So here, truth is something profound within. What is that profound something? This is taken up in beautiful passages in the Upanishads, and one, Mundaka Upanishad, puts it in such poetry, such imagery, fascinating language. The bird imagery. On the self-same tree, there are two birds. One sitting on the upper branch, one sitting on the lower branch. The second eats sweet and bitter fruits, feeling miserable, helpless. The one above is perfectly immersed in his own self, full of peace and contentment. Then this bird slowly moves higher and higher, and once gets a glimpse of the other bird. Then slowly it finds a change coming within itself. Ultimately, it merges in that one bird that alone this was just a reflection. Dva suparna sayuja sakaya samanam vriksham parishasvajate tayor eka pippalam swadvat anashnananyo abhichakachiti. That is a wonderful expression. Dva suparna, two birds sitting on the same tree. Similarly in this body, Dva suparna, the Pratyagatma and the Sadatma, the real self and the appearance self, both are here. I. And there is something that watches and says, who is this wonderful individual? In today's scientific thinking, this comes on the horizon. One of the famous sentences I quote from the famous book, The Universe and Dr. Einstein. Towards the end, philosophical conclusion comes We do not understand the vast, veiled universe in which our life is cast simply because we do not understand ourselves. One sentence. Next one. Neither do we understand that mysterious faculty that is within us, the capacity to transcend ourselves in the very act of perception. What is that wonderful reality in me? I see, and I think, I see, I know, I see. What it is? Some two chaps are here. We must find out what it is. Vedanta coined the word sakshi, witness self. There is a sakshi, a doer and a sakshi. That's a very wonderful concept in Vedanta, which is entering into psychology today. And in this book it is being expounded. When you study the three states, waking, dream and sleep, waking ego is confined to waking state. In dream, waking ego has no place at all. It is dead. Dream ego has confinement only to dream state. It has no reference to waking. And both the egos disappear in the sleep state. And yet, somebody is there who says, all the three are my experience. I dreamt, I woke, I slept. Who is this I? Certainly not that ego of the waking state. This kind of study, depth study of experience revealed by the three states, which is universal experience. Everybody has this experience of waking, dream and sleep. Only you must know what these experiences mean. That inquiry revealed to the Upanishads, the Mandukya Upanishad particularly, this Turiya, the fourth, the true state of man, the Sakshi, eternal, not coming, not going as the other various entities. That is a remarkable statement. How much it appeals to many scientific minds today. This deep study of human consciousness, dealing with separate consciousness and discovering the one behind the separate consciousness. So he says there, Atmanatmano Viveka. When you do so, you realize there is something else. There is a second bird. That second bird was secondary, first bird was primary in the beginning. Then you realize, no, that is not true. Second bird alone is there. The first bird was only a reflection of that wonderful second bird. And when this knowledge comes to you, you develop complete security, fearlessness, fulfillment. I have realized my true nature. When Buddha stood up on that blessed full moon night, after his illumination, he proclaimed, I have achieved the immortal. That's the language he used. I am no more the creature. I am free. I am free. This is possible for anybody. This organic system has to be trained to realize this truth. That is the purpose of Vedanta. It wants to help everybody to achieve this realization of one's true nature. So he says, Jalam pankavad atyantam. Water is dirty. Pankapaye jalam sputam. You just keep it quiet for some time. All the dirt settles down, you find clean water there. Yatha bhati tata atmapi. Similarly also this self. As Vivekananda said, what is to be done is only rubbing the mirror. Then you see your true form in the mirror. If it is a dirty mirror, you don't see form. Work is so simple. This mind is the mirror. If it is cleaned, everything is all right. Today I was writing something about the English poet Blake, a mystical poet, writing a foreword to a book on mysticism in 19th century English literature. It's a thesis by a particular scholar. Blake comes in there, and that Blake says, when the doors of perception are cleansed, then you will know yourself truly what you are, namely infinite. This is the language he has used. Same thing here. So, this is the work that we have to do every time. And when we do so, Panchanam apikoshanam nishedhe yuktita shrutehe, verse 210. Tan nishedhavate sakshi bodharupo avashishyate. When you are sitting alone at home, or in the office, or waiting for a bus, We can easily do this. What does he say? Panchanam apikoshanam nishedhe. When you negate these 5 koshas by saying, I cannot be this object called the body, because I am essentially a subject. I cannot be the nervous system. In this way, yuktita shrutehe, through exercising your reason and taking the help of Shruti. What does Shruti mean? The experiences of other sages who have realized this truth. That's all Shruti means. Their realization is not yours. You realize it yourself, but it may help you. This is the way they did it. So, yuktita shrutehe. Then what do you realize? By this negation of the 5 koshas, tan nishedhavati sakshi. At the end of all this nishedha, avadhi means towards the end, this sakshi, the eternal witness. What is the nature of that witness? Bodha rupo, of the nature of pure consciousness. Bodha. Buddha is called Buddha because he had bodhi. That bodhi he got. Therefore he is called Buddha. Bodha rupo avashishyate. That alone remains. Everything else goes. Only one infinite light of pure consciousness and nothing else remains at the end of this process. This is what you found in our time in the experience of Ramana Maharshi. Bodha rupo avashishyate. He was very fond of this Vivekachudamani. This gives you that kind of penetration to the profoundest truth. What is my true nature? I treat myself like this and like that. That's all delusion. Try to realize the immensity that is you. You are not a tiny little creature, something infinite. That is a wonderful idea, stressed again and again in Vedanta. Bodha rupo avashishyate. Yoyam atma swayam jyotih panchakosha vilakshanaha avasthatraya sakshi san nirvikaro niranjanaha sadananda savijñeya swatmatvena vipaschita. The wise man, vipaschit means the wise man who has the capacity to inquire into the truth of things. Such a person, yoyam atma, this atman, ayam means this infinite atman. It is so real to you. You see, the world is an object, but you are not an object. You are the nearest to you. That's why in religion we say God is nearest to you. Other things are far away from you. Prophet Muhammad was asked, where is God? Is he far away? He is nearer to you than the vein on your neck. Mystical teaching brings ultimate reality into intimate reality. Nearest to you. Yoyam atma, this infinite Atman which is you. Swayam jyoti, self-effulgent. You don't take a torchlight to show the sun, isn't it? Because sun is self-effulgent. It overpowers all torchlights. That is the power of the sun. Similarly, my little knowledge is a torchlight trying to understand the Atman. No. The Atman's light is the light of all lights. Jyotisham jyotihi. He says, this light, nityo nityanam, chetanas chetananam. It is eternal among the non-eternals. It is the one living principle. Everything that lives. Finally, na tattva suryo bhati, na chandra tarakam. Sun doesn't illumine this Atman, nor the moon, nor the stars. None of these can illumine the Atman. Why? It is the light from which all these derive their light. Tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. By the light of God, as pure consciousness, the whole universe is lighted. Therefore it is described as the light of all lights. In Islamic Sufi mysticism, the word light comes again and again. Nur is light. That is infinite light. In St. John's Gospel, in Christianity, same word is used. He is the light. Where is it? The light that lighteth every soul that cometh into the world. That is the light. But St. John's Gospel adds, but the light is hidden in darkness, and darkness comprehended it not. That's our experience. The light is hidden. And I quoted the English poet Browning, 2 days ago, in his poem Paracelsus, where he describes the Atman as the imprisoned splendor. A wonderful expression. Splendor but imprisoned. What is a photon? Splendor imprisoned in a piece of matter. When you release it, it becomes a photon. A releasing means freedom. It is imprisoned there. So in physics today we use energy in two forms. Bottled up energy, released energy. What you call energy is released energy. What you call matter is bottled up energy. Such terms come. So here, in this infinite Atman, which is of the nature of light, you realize your true form. Yoyam Atma Swayam Jyoti, light of all lights, self-effulgent. Panchakosha Vilakshanaha, apart from the 5 koshas, body, mind, etc. Avasthatraya Sakshi, the witness of the 3 states, waking, dream, dreamless sleep. He witnesses it, whereas the waking ego cannot witness it. Waking ego goes away as soon as you go to dream. There's a profound truth discovered in India ages ago. You have eaten well, that's waking ego. You go to dream and feel you are hungry. What has happened to you? That ego is no more there. If that ego were there, you would not feel hungry. Similarly, waking poor man goes to dream. Dreams he is a rich man. Plenty of big mansion, beautiful children, well dressed. All this he gets there. That ego is no more there. The new ego has come. Now seeing all this, there is one reality which is able to say, this came, this went, this came, this went. In philosophic language we say, any perception of change needs a changeless subject. You can think about it. Any perception of change needs a changeless subject. Suppose you are sitting in a room. Somebody came to visit you. And he went away. And you also went away. Then somebody else came as a visitor to somebody else who was sitting there. They also both went away. So every separate group of visitors came and receiver was there, went away. Can anybody say A came and went, B came and went, C came and went? But if one person is there who sees all this coming and going, he alone can make a statement, A came and met B, C came and met C or D, in that he can say. In experience, therefore, we do perceive change. Therefore, the perceiver is changeless. That is the simple logic applied to this infinite Atman at the Sakshi. That is a wonderful word, Sakshi. 2 people are talking. You are only watching. They talk, they quarrel, they went away, and you can report. Nobody else can report. Only you can report. You never participated. You only was the Sakshi. This sun is described in Vedanta as the witness of the whole day. Dina Sakshi, Loka Sakshi. Sun is the witness. Everything happening in this solar system is perceived by the sun. His radiation penetrates every nook and corner. Even the most darkest cave, his radiation penetrates in infrared forms, ultraviolet forms. Sun is called the witness. This Atman is the witness of all existence, not only solar system. And that is your nature. Behind your consciousness, that infinite Atman is there. So the first language we use, I the actor, I the doer, etc. And the other is the witness, the second bird, first bird and second bird. That is the witness. So Panchakosha Vilakshanaha, Avasthatraya Sakshi, Sun Nirvikaro. It doesn't undergo any change. Because if it changes, who is to see the change? The one who sees the change is the changeless. Nirvikaro, Niranjanaha, ever pure. Nothing can affect it. Sadananda Savijñeya. You must realize him as eternally full of bliss. Sadananda. Realize him like that. How? Not that there is a Sadananda Vastu there. Swatmatvena. Yourself is infinite. It is one with that. Sadatmana. That is the realization. God is not an object among objects. It is eternal self, the self of all self. Our real self is that infinite one. This is the thinking, deep investigation. And what kind of minds? Brilliant minds like Shankaracharya. They are dealing with the subject. Buddha, they are dealing with the subject. Not ordinary priests or ignorant people. This subject came. The disciple got a beautiful occasion to put a more subtle question. First question we heard, why creatureliness is there? How can it ever go? Because it is beginningless. Then he got the answer. It is a delusion. When the delusion goes, all that also goes away. You realize your own true form. Dips lost his selfhood, and play therapy restored his selfhood to him. That is the truth. Now comes a more profound question. Shishya uvacha. The disciple said, Mithyātvena nisiddheshu koshe shveteshu panchasu sarvabhavam vinakinchit napashyami atahe guru vijñeyam kimuvastvasti swatmana atma vipaschita. Very profound question. I referred to it yesterday also. Comes here in the disciple's own language. When I negate all these koshas as unreal, mithyātvena, nisiddheshu, nishedha means negation. Kosheshu, eteshu, panchasu, all these 5 koshas. I am not the body, I am not a sense organ, I am not this. For example, I sit on a chair. I think I am the chair. Remember, there are such delusions. In mental hospitals, you will find in records, a person considers oneself as a broomstick. So what he does, after sweeping the floor, he puts the broomstick on the bed and he stands at the corner of the door. You'll find many examples like this. Thorough delusion. So, when you negate all this as mithya, edeshu panchasu, then what do I find? Sarvabhavam vina kinchit atra na pashyami. I see nothing but absolute nihilism, absolute non-existence, emptiness. When all these things are negated, there is nothing left to know. There is nothing there. That is a wonderful question. Sarva abhavam virakinchit na pashyami. I see nothing else except non-existence. Complete. Atra he guru. Vijñeyam kimuvastu asti. What is there to know in that state? It's a very serious question. Everything has been negated. Every object, every manifestation, we have negated. I see emptiness, nothing but emptiness. Sarva bhavam. And what is there to know in that state? Vijñeyam kimuvastu asti. Swatmana atma vipaschita. This wise man, what is there to know for him as his self when you negate everything else like this? Now this question is particularly relevant because Buddha came 1,000 years before Shankaracharya. Another 1,000 years earlier, we had the Upanishads. Everywhere this subject comes because the most delicate part of the whole investigation. Yajnavalkya in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is teaching his wife Maitreyi. In the course of the teaching, he says, like a salt doll immersed in water becomes dissolved in water. Nothing but salt remains there. Every bit of that water is all salt. When you realize this infinite Atman of the nature of pure consciousness, he will get dissolved in it. As soon as she heard it, then it will be all nothingness then. Everything becomes nothing there. That frightens me, she said. Yajnavalkya smiled. Don't fear. This is a profound knowledge, but I am explaining to you. Yatra hi dvaita bhavati tada ekam anyena pashyati. When there is a second thing, then you see it. Then you know it. Then you handle it. But if everything becomes the Atman, what can see what and by what? What can we touch by what? Everything is the Atman. That is how the chapter ends there. It is allness, not nothingness. So, the answer comes from the Guru.